Hello, my name is Dave Gonzalez and I am the product manager for Guild Guitars. Today we're here to talk to you a little bit about our D-55 model. The Guild D-55 model has become the flagship of the Guild acoustic guitar line. It's funny because it wasn't the first model introduced. It actually didn't get introduced until much later in Guild's history. It was introduced in 1968, and at that time it was a special order only instrument. Guild wanted to offer what they considered a upgraded or a fancy version of their Rosewood Dreadnought, which was the D50 Bluegrass Special at that time. Something that had some more ornate inlay to it and just something a little flashier. And it took off like wildfire. And due to the increased demand of it and people just really loving the instrument, they actually added it to the standard acoustic guitar lineup in 1974. So it became a part of the standard acoustic line in '74 and was widely available. And since then it's become Guild's best-selling acoustic guitar model and still is to this day. So what I have here is today's Guild D-55. And what we've done is we've taken the D-55 platform and made some refinements to the instrument to make it even better playing, better sounding instrument. So it's not about taking what was there and altering it, it's about taking what was there and enhancing it and taking it up to the next level. So one of the great features about the D-55 model is, of course, the solid Indian rosewood back and sides. We use master grade Indian rosewood on this particular instrument, this particular model. And master grade is the best of the best. It's carefully selected for not only grain, also for coloration. This guitar has a Sitka spruce top, AAA Sitka spruce top. And it used to have Sitka bracing in it, and we've changed that to Adirondack red spruce bracing, which is a feature that is standard on all of our USA Guild guitars. It's something that a lot of other builders offer as an upgraded feature for significant upcharge, and it's something we offer as a standard feature because we feel it's incredibly important and it really adds a lot to the sound of the instrument. But it also brings a little bit more robust, sort of throaty sound to the underlying tone with the red spruce bracing, and that really helps this guitar to project and bloom in a really beautiful way. Other things that we've done is we've changed the top radius on the instruments. We've gone from a 40-foot radius top to a 30-foot radius top, and that may seem kind of like an odd thing, 30-foot radius or 40-foot radius, but it makes a big difference in the sound of the instrument. What a tighter top radius brings to the table in terms of sound quality is enhanced projection and volume, also greater presence in the instrument, and also much better sustain. So what you will find with these guitars is when you hit a chord and it will just ring, and the presence, it's just full and sort of envelop you. And that was very purposeful. We did that to sort of take that Guild tone and take it up to the next level. Some other refinements that we've made to the instrument are things that would take some of the weight out of the guitar. Guilds historically have been known to be somewhat heavy instruments, and we really wanted to consciously take some of the weight out of the instruments, make them airy, sort of more vibrant instruments, if you will. One of the major things is we took the tail block of the instrument, which previously was a large chunk of solid mahogany, which is very good, very strong, very stable, but it was also very heavy and added a lot of weight to the instrument. We are now using a laminated birch ply tail block, which allows us to shrink the size of that tail block significantly but still maintain the structural integrity of the instrument and the strength needed to keep everything together. We've gone to what we call a slim heel on the neck now, and just slim that up a little bit so it's not quite as bulky or as cumbersome, and that makes a difference when you're coming up here into higher registers to play. Whereas sometimes that other one could get in the way a little bit. Also, we've taken and changed the machine heads or the tuners, and we've gone to a Godot vintage style open back tuner. Previously these had a die-cast tuner on them, Grover die-cast tuners, but those tuners added a lot of weight to the headstock. So we went to the vintage style Godots. They're very precise. You can tune up or down without there being slack left, which will cause you to eventually go sharp or flat again. Other great features of this guitar are the components that we use here. And when I say components, I'm talking about the saddle and the nut and also the bridge pins. You know, components on an electric guitar might be the pickups or something like that, but when it comes to acoustic instruments, the things that make a difference in tone significantly are these components, these specific components. And depending upon what material those components are made out of will ultimately affect the overall sound quality of the instrument. We use bone for our nuts, saddles, and bridge pins. It's a very traditional material that was used in traditional guitar making many, many years ago. We feel it's still the best material to use for these components because it's so important. These components are so important to transferring the energy and the sound to the overall instrument here. And you have to have something that does that efficiently and effectively so that you're getting the full complement of the sound coming out. Some synthetic materials are not as good as bone is at that. It gives you a much more sort of earthy tone to it. It brings out that traditional tone, whereas some synthetics can bring more harsh elements to the picture. It's a finished type that a lot of modern manufacturers have abandoned for quicker, faster, easier to work with type finishes. We feel that nitrocellulose is still the best finish for acoustic instruments in terms of tone and sound quality. And that's why we continue to use it. Even though it is more expensive to use, it's very time consuming and the process involved in it is very lengthy. We feel it's really important and it adds a lot to the sound quality of the instrument and the overall beauty of the instrument. We also try to keep it as thin as possible. That's another thing is if you build, you might have a nitrocellulose lacquer finish, but if you build that finish up too thick, it's going to affect the sound in a negative way because all of that weight of the finish is on the wood and that's inhibiting some of that vibration.